I think William Byron is a perfect fit for it. He's just a bright young man. He's obviously very talented. He's sort of taken the sport by storm over the last couple of years of what he's done, the Truck Series, now the Xfinity Series, and I'm proud that he's going to be behind the wheel of the 24 car, continuing to represent it, to all those fans out there. When he went to work at Junior Motorsports, we knew there was a future there with Hendrick. I started to try to get to know him a little bit better, and I've been very impressed. I mean, he's a bright young man. He works really, really hard. He loves what he does, and he'll give 100% all the time. And then he's impressed me on the track this year too. You know, I feel like he's been up against some pretty stiff competition and some veteran drivers, and he's impressed. So I think on and off the track he has a very bright future. So I'm looking forward to getting to know him even more, helping in any way I can. But already he obviously has what it takes.
From our hearts, we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Who's bright or
South Carolina, and so much history at this racetrack, Darlington Raceway. But there are 9 first-timers that will be taking on the Lady in Black. 3 start in the top 6. How will they fare today? From the track Too Tough to Tame.
It's just such a cornerstone of our sport. I mean, names were made at Darlington.
Elliott Sadler, 20 years in the sport, his first win at Darlington.
When you bring home a trophy from Darlington, you know you beat the best at probably the hardest racetrack we go to.
You can just feel all the history there, and that track, there's obviously nothing like it.
If you can solidify a win at Darlington in your career, that's a really, really big deal.
Every race car driver wants to win at Darlington. Your name is cemented in as one of the best drivers in our sport.
And welcome to NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing on NBCSN from Darlington. It is a wonderful throwback weekend as we get ready for the Sports Clips Haircuts VFW 200. And even the graphics are thrown back. The paint schemes, the drivers, some with facial hair, some with, well, maybe letting their hair go a little bit as they try to throw back to the late 80s and pay respect to the drivers that have paved the way for a lot of them to make it into this sport.
We saw in Countdown to Green why this paint scheme means so much to William Byron, Junior Motorsports, and Hendrick Motorsports as well. This is Ricky Hendrick's paint scheme he had when he was in the Truck Series. He hopes to take it to victory lane here at Darlington this afternoon. Time to get the engines cranked here at the Lady in Black.
We take a look at the starting grid for today's race. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, 2 Cup regulars will start up front. All 4 wins at Darlington for Denny Hamlin have come from the pole, where he will start again today.
Row 2, we have a pair of drivers making their first start at Darlington. Daniel Hemrick in the Jeff Green 2002 scheme, and Cole Custer with the legendary Sam Ard scheme.
Row 3, we have Ty Dillon and William Byron. William trying to just continue this sensational rookie season, winning in his first start in the number 9, much like Chase Elliott did a few years back.
Back in row 4, it's Elliott Sadler and Brennan Poole. Elliott Sadler won this race last year, said it was probably one of the biggest races he had ever won.
Row 5, we have 2 Cup drivers, Austin Dillon driving the Dale Earnhardt Austin Racing paint scheme, and Joey Logano, 2012 winner here.
Well, Jeff, you talk about Cup drivers in row 5. Well, in row 6, we have a Cup driver, Eric Jones, but he'll be starting next to Tyler Reddick, who's making his first ever start at this very treacherous racetrack.
Back in row 7, it's Justin Allgaier and Matt Tiff. Both are driving cars that were inspired by Dale Earnhardt Sr., as well as Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kelly Earnhardt and Kerry Earnhardt.
And guess what? Right behind him, Ben Kennedy in another Dale Earnhardt paint scheme, starting next to Ross Chastain.
And it's time to check in with Elliott Sadler. Jeff, why don't you dial him up on the radio, see how he's doing.
Hey, Elliott, Jeff Burton, you got us?
Yes, sir, I got you.
Well, Bud, we saw you get a huge win here last year. Historic racetrack. Tell us what your chances are today.
Well, I think they're pretty good. I mean, this Armor Food Chevrolet was pretty good yesterday in practice, and You know, you're always really good at this track. It's about racing the track a lot of part of the time and not get caught up in who you're racing. This track can really reach out and grab you. So we got to be patiently aggressive today, keep our car in one piece, definitely keep the right side on it, and try to go after them there at the end.
Well, Elliott, that sounds like a great plan, but tell us how you can race the racetrack but still make lap time, because you can ride around but you can't go fast. How are you going to do both?
You going to tell me a trick? I don't know. You just really got to.
We're about to find out. Denny Hamlin will start on the outside, the flying 18 in this race, and Kevin Harvick in the 41 on the inside. Green flag in the air. We're racing at Darlington.
You even tougher for a rookie, right? You know, you got William Byron, who's never been to this place. He did test here a couple of months ago and was, you know, just getting used to the racetrack then. But he told me before he got in the car, I've got to keep telling myself all day long, patience, patience, patience. And it's easy if you're a rookie to get baited into by a veteran some of those moves like that and maybe use your car a little bit more than you should. So that's tough for a rookie. Keep that in mind all day long, that word patience.
And that's one of the things that I think has impressed me the most about William Byron is he does show a lot of patience for a young driver. As we look back at the throwback scheme that he has, and he's honoring the late Ricky Hendrick. Ricky was the youngest winner in the Camping World Truck Series. And then he transitioned into car owner, where he was working and trying to become a car owner just like his dad, Rick Hendrick. And then, of course, lost his life in a plane crash as it was headed to Martinsville. And we talked about the throwback and that car, and you actually mentioned you had chased it a few times. How about right here? Wait a minute. Did you hit the 24 there?
Not hard enough.
Well, to Jeff's defense, Jeff Gordon had him run basically to the apron. I was actually on the 24 team at this point, and it was you're about out of racetrack here on the front stretch.
Well, he was racing for $1 million, and we had unfortunately a bad pit stop and had to make a big run from behind, and I miscalculated. We were so much faster. We'd run him down from so far behind that I got to him, and I didn't want to make contact. I'm like, you know what? I'll roll in here, and we come off turn 2. I'll just pass you. Well, we ran so low, all that debris and all that stuff that we heard in Kevin Harvick's car on the in-car, well, all that got on my tires. When I drove into turn 1, there was not the gription there that I had anticipated. So I just never could get back to him.
And we saw that armored vehicle following the 24 after he won the $1 million. Marty.
Rick, if William Byron is going to win here at Darlington today, he's going to have to do it from the back of the pack. They just came back down pit road for a second time. The lug nuts were loose on the left rear, but they decided to change all 4 tires. I asked Dave Ellens, his crew chief, why he did that. He said the last time I tried to just tighten the lug nuts on a wheel, it didn't work, and it kept getting worse throughout a run. He said I didn't want to chance it, put 4 new Goodyear tires on there, so they did that. William Byron's got his work cut out for him, but like everybody else in the field, though, with 4 fresh Goodyear tires. In front of him, though, William Byron just got around him. Remember, he has those, half-lap fresher tires, and everybody else restarted 19th, running up in, I believe, the 12th position right now. William, a rookie here at Darlington, trying to pull off what Chase Elliott pulled off. Remember that? Came here as a rookie, guys, won the race.
That would be impressive company to join.
But how about the outside of row 2? William Byron in that 9. Remember, Marty Snyder reported that after the second stage pit stop, he came in, took 4 tires. Well, they had some lug nuts that were not tight on the left rear. They had to come back in, pit a second time, restarted all the way back in the 28th position. Now finds himself all the way back up to 4th. Remember, trying to do what Chase Elliott did. Chase Elliott won as a rookie in this number 9, the only rookie to do it. William Byron trying to add his name to that list.
So something that's very impressive about that, do you know how hard it is to say, hey, guys, we got to come back and pit? I mean, that is really, really difficult to do, but having the wisdom at his young age to accept the situation he's in, not be in denial, not say, you know what, I think it's going to be okay. Just saying, hey, we got to pit. We got to fix it. Having that mentality to do that at that age is very rare. Normally you're like, it'll be okay. I'll make it work, and then it only gets worse.
To achieve my team, me as a driver, was to win the championship.
We have to go into the playoffs with a full head of steam.
He's going to get his second career victory at Daytona. Oh my God, we're going to celebrate.
I think we're capable of winning a championship, and if I didn't feel like that, then I shouldn't be strapped into the race car.
The 19-year-old gets the win.
Our team can win races and win a championship.
William Byron, another 19-year-old.
Look at the brakes. Look at as he enters the corner already on lap 14. Look at the right front brake rotor, how it's already glowing. Now these brakes are they're made to be hot. It's not a concern that you're seeing the brake rotor glow red, but it's a little concerning on lap 14. That's early to see that brake rotor glowing, so they might want to pull a little bit of tape off the brake duct or put a little bit of rear brake in it, or just tell William, hey,
that's it.
Back the brake off just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, not hurting the brakes, but what's it doing to the tires?
That's right.
All that heat has to go somewhere, and it goes into the wheel, into the tire.
So William Byron currently holding on to the 5th spot. William Byron in the 9 on the inside of Paul Menard. Rookie stripe on the back bumper of that number 9. And there'll be a rookie stripe on the back bumper of the Cup car that he'll be driving next year.
Kelly spent some time with William Byron earlier today, and he said, you know, it's funny, this year short tracks have really been sort of our downfall. We've struggled at short tracks, and I've run short tracks my entire life, so he said, I just can't figure out what we've done. But tonight they've had a very solid run in the top 10 right now, and for the last 10 laps or so, he's been in one of those top 5 fastest cars out on the racetrack right now. What will he do tomorrow, Parker? He'll hang out for the Cup race. He's going to do that as much as he can for the rest of the year, just getting used to that Cup team, getting used to the move up to Cup next year.
As we look at the playoff standings, now 1 race to go before the playoffs start. And again, only 12 will make it. 25 points separate Brendan Gaughan, Dakota Armstrong for that final spot in the playoffs.
Well, it started the night at 20. Brendan was able to gain 5 more points on Dakota. Most of that coming with that strategy call and the points awarded at the end of the stage. They ended up basically both running. Armstrong finished 18th, Gaughan 21st. So it was kind of a wash on the race, just the points awarded there in the stage finish.
Twilight's last gleaming o'er the land.
7 races in the playoffs and a little bit of a diverse background as far as tracks go. We take a look at round 1, the round of 12, the playoff tracks.
Yeah, they're 1.5 mile heavy every round. This one has Kentucky and Charlotte with the high bank monster mile of Dover right in the middle.
Move on to the round of 8.
Yeah, Kansas, Texas, 2 more fast racetracks, and then the 1 mile trial over at Phoenix.
And then it all ends up at Homestead Miami Speedway, another 1.5 mile track. That's why 1.5 miles so important, especially when you end the regular season on this racetrack.
Yeah, that's why this race is so important. You're going to get.
William Byron's already a 3-time winner this season, but racing here at Chicagoland for the first time in an Xfinity Series car has not held him back. He hit the ground running in practice, qualified well inside the top 10. Their objective today, collect 5 more bonus points for the playoffs. Parker?
The racetrack in 3 and 4. And then on top of that, we're going to throw some lap times out. That was a 70 or an 80 to try to give the driver, but we see William Byron in the 9 car off the pace here.
Slowing on the racetrack. And William Byron.
Popping in and out of gear, won't go in gear at all.
Transmission problem.
Okay, here we're coming down pit road, fellas. Come down pit road.
These are the types of mistakes that the 9 of William Byron can absolutely get away with
no
here.
oil pressure at all.
And no oil pressure. They have multiple issues on the 9, but this mistake or this mechanical issue, perhaps is a better thing to call it, can be acceptable here in the last race of the regular season, but these are the types of mistakes that when you get in the playoffs will completely take you out of it. Even with 3 wins, there's no guarantees he's going to continue to move forward through the rounds.
Yeah, with no oil pressure, I know that he said he couldn't get it in gear, but with no oil pressure, that tells me
right
it's a major engine issue that has caused other issues.
Now it's back into white, but it was red for a whole lap.
So they will try to find out what is exactly wrong with William Byron's Xfinity car, as it continues to be a dominant performance by Eric Jones, who's out front. He's led all 30 laps up to this point. Catch all the action of NASCAR on NBC with the NBC Sports app. You can get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, and track information. You're watching coverage of thehouse.com 300. Actually, you're watching a beautiful boat out there in the water, but the 9 struggling. And here's what they had to say on the radio about what the issue was.
The gears are real soft, and it's got a bunch of noises going on right now. Therefore, doesn't have gears left. Bring it back around. We'll change the transmission. Yeah, it's popping out of gear. Got to come back to you.
So you ask yourself, why would they change a transmission? They're in the playoffs. Why not just put the car on the truck? Well, we talked about this, and Jeff, you talked about the surface in this racetrack and how it is very similar to Miami. And with the lack of track time, I think the 9 wants to get whatever the mechanical issues repaired to get back on the racetrack just to make laps, to see which way the track goes, maybe how their car drives, see how their lap time compares. But it's just never the same. Laps are never the same as just out there racing. So this is definitely going to hurt the 9. If he's fortunate enough to make it to Miami, we'll have to remember this day that he was not able to run all the laps here in Chicago.
And Rick, you see back in the garage area, William Byron has already pulled out of his garage stall. They already had the transmission changed on this 9 car. Very quick change for these guys, going to send him back out. There's the transmission that came out of the 9 car. I asked Dave Ellens, Ryan Pemberton, the team director for Junior Motorsports, why they were going to do this. He said, just what you guys said. We need laps and we need experience on this type of racetrack. So transmission already changed for William Byron, the 3-time winner this year in the Xfinity Series, heading back out on the racetrack.
Always interrupting you. I'm sorry.
All right.
One thing I'm watching that's very interesting, the 9 car of Byron, he has had trouble. Mechanical issue, 33rd. Look where he's running. We talked about Homestead, Miami, getting ready for that race. This racetrack, very similar, not completely similar, but a little bit similar to Homestead, Miami. And where do you run there? You run right against the wall. So as you watch the 9 car, that's what he's doing. He's got his right side right against the wall. Is he using this race to try to get better so that if he moves to Homestead, he's got a little bit of experience?
Well, and Jeff, I had that conversation with Williams crew chief David Ellens, and while yes, this is a similar track, he said, as far as the track surface and the roughness of it, he said running that high line isn't necessarily required here at all times. Obviously, you can move around a bit more. So while this is good prep, they're also looking ahead to the race at Kansas to really help get William acclimated to running that high line on a consistent basis, which could help him when they come around to Homestead, Miami, if they're still in the championship hunt at that point. Remember, they're 18 laps down after replacing that transmission. Since then, everything has been good in the 9 car. At one point, William just asking, hey, am I allowed to race these other guys on track? I think the response was, yep, go ahead and race them. And they told him which cars to be careful around. It was all those cars still fighting for a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, 18 laps down, that's smart. But also looking ahead to Kansas, these tracks were built about the same time, Chicagoland and Kansas, and they were considered sister tracks to each other.
You see him trying to get that fender pulled out, Rick. Not a word from Ryan Blaney on the radio about what happened on the racetrack. Brian Wilson trying to guide the team, but a shot at the win out the window now for this 22 and Ryan Blaney.
These races, so we don't think about him being a favorite for this championship, but with their runs lately, don't count him out.
Well, and I talked to Jason Burdett, crew chief for Justin Allgaier this morning, asked him how his car was. Pretty good. He was a little soft-spoken.
The playoff leaderboard for the Xfinity Series, William Byron, Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, separated by 5 points when that race starts.
Well, you see how important that win was to Justin Allgaier, those 5 playoff points, and you add it all up, Junior Motorsports 1, 2, 3, and have a little head start over Daniel Hendrick in the 4th position.
It's going to be interesting to see Daniel Hendrick, if he can carry that momentum that he's been able to build in these last few races, what he can do. And there's Cole Custer, Nate. We've seen how good he is in these mile and a halves. Can he step up?
Today, William Byron and this 9 team we're looking for. You had to change transmissions early in this one, but you still got the majority of the laps in. So what was gained? What did you learn out there today?
Yeah, we probably just pretty much just ran against the wall the whole race to try to figure that out, hopefully for Homestead. So was unfortunate, broke our transmission early, but guys worked hard to get it changed, and good job to everyone at Junior Motorsports to get a win for Justin. So that's cool, and we'll take the momentum and go to Kentucky and hopefully have a really fast car there.
Yeah, for you could use some momentum because it was kind of a rough month with all the road courses and, of course, the mechanical issue today. But does this team have it in it to turn things around next week?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. We've been strong in the last couple of weeks. We've kind of qualified 5th or 6th and ran 5th or 6th. So I need a little bit more than that in the playoffs, but I feel like we're going to have that once we get to some of these stronger racetracks for us. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, William.
Thank you.
I've felt like we can win every race this season. Now we have to show we can do it in the playoffs.
Number 1 for William Byron comes at Iowa.
7 races in the playoffs, and this is it. The playoffs start.
I think advice for the younger guys, the Xfinity guys, is obviously to win races. You want to be able to win those races and take advantage of the races that those Cup guys can't be in, like myself, and be able to go out there and execute and get the job done.
I think the guys at JRM certainly have to be the favorites as well as they've run throughout the year, and I think for them just kind of keep doing the same things they've done all season. There's nothing I'm going to tell them that they don't already know.
The best advice that you can give people at this time of year is to race 1 week at a time. This is a challenging time of the year.
Mr. H gave me a call and asked me what I thought about driving the 24 car, and I wasn't expecting that for sure.
Driver of car number 24, William Byron.
It's been a dream come true to be with Hendrick first of all, and then to have the 24 now and carry on that legacy that Jeff Gordon really established.
And here comes Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon winning. Jeff Gordon takes the win.
What a win for Jeff Gordon.
They've had a lot of success with this number, and I grew up watching Jimmy and Jeff. Really, they were the 2 guys that I looked up to. Jeff gave Jimmy that opportunity in kind of the similar way that Jeff's given me this opportunity to run the 24.
You got a few fans, nobody has left.
It's definitely intimidating, but I think it's going to be something that I'm really looking forward to. They are a great fan base, really passionate.
With the number change and in light of that, I did bring out a old t-shirt.
No one expecting this. This is kind of a neat announcement. He's always ran the 9. It's really just been a number for me that I've grown with JRM, and it's not a number that's as special to me as it is to him and his family. I always told him it's his number, and it's just something I use because he had a great history with it at JRM. I'm excited to be teammates with him next year. We have 3 really young guys and Jimmy, 7-time champion. It's kind of a new era, and we're just excited to get started.
Meanwhile, Reddick with pressure from Hendrick, Hendrick with pressure from Poole, and Poole's getting pressure from the 9 of Byron. Here comes William Byron trying to get by for 4th. He's got it. Stop for the 9 car. He had a little bit of dicing back there in the pack. Now he brings it to pit road. Byron, the playoff leader, coming into tonight. Now as they run back to the 5th position.
The NBC Sports app, you can catch all the action of NASCAR on NBC with it. You get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, track information. You name it, it's on there. Get the app. Maybe not having all the straight edges that NASCAR is looking for.
Yeah, you see this honeycomb pattern inside the body. It's actually molded in the body so that if you try to manipulate the body in that area, it will show right up, and it'll be very clear that you manipulated. These are the areas that have been that over time have learned to be the most sensitive. And so you can make an argument that the parts and pieces of this body really aren't any cheaper than a steel body. But what you can argue is if NASCAR can have this body and be able to police it so that the teams cannot manipulate the areas that they want to. He's not done yet, but he's just not going to be able to make it more than that second lap. Backed out of it. In the pool 4.
2.5 remaining. 5 have taken time. Byron on track. How good will his lap be?
A soon-to-be Cup regular, but he's not yet. You heard that pop? That pop, 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 pop. That's in the rev limiter down the back straightaway. That means he got through 1 and 2. Very good.
And a very, very good lap. 10th better than Jones. To the top, William Byron.
There you go. There's your Xfinity regular that said, you know what?
You told them to be tough, right?
Well, I probably didn't have to tell them that. They probably already knew, but it's a matter of pride. It truly is. Yeah. And I know that Cup regulars get bashed for being in this series, but it gives you something to shoot for as an Xfinity regular. You want to take them down. Not posted his time yet.
There it is. That's a good one for Reddick. 5th. And the red and black are out. And that will do it. There he is. Today's pole sitter, William Byron. And a nice 3 rounds for him, Kelly.
That sure was fastest in each of those rounds to pick up his 2nd career pole. William, you told me you were happy with the car when I talked to you this morning. Did you expect that you had a pole winner, though?
I don't know. It just this place is so demanding. You got to drive to the very limit in qualifying. So we did that. The car was really good, responded to it, and just really proud of these guys. Hopefully we can keep this going and just execute all day.
All right, this is a team that has the confidence in the car they feel, Dave, to go for the win this afternoon.
Absolutely, that is Kelly, and man, after we showed his woes lately, Jeff, at the beginning of the show, I think he might be turning it around.
Well, again, those woes haven't been for a lack of speed, and I think that's just clear. This young man knows how to make lap time. He's exceptionally fast, and he's very smart. I think that he can put all that, he can compartmentalize it, put it away, focus on today.
He showed us over time that he can do that. One of the other quiet drivers who really says behind the wheel what he is intending to do. And you see the difference, struggling of late, but now on the pole and in position to lead this field of green this afternoon.
And so we'll get a few quick updates from pit road. We'll start with Kelly Stavis.
Rick, William Byron had 3 wins in the regular season, but in the last 7 races, just 3 top 10s. This could be just the place for him to turn things around. William told me he has the confidence in this car to go for the win today, and he said that before he put the 9 car on pole, Parker.
And the car's beginning to roll off of pit road now. We take a look at the starting grid up front. William Byron, the 19-year-old, just his 2nd Xfinity Series pole alongside Daniel Suarez, a regular. Great battle will take off right from the beginning in this first row. William Byron and Daniel Suarez. William Byron from Junior Motorsports on the outside. JGR, Joe Gibbs Racing on the inside. Green flags in the air.
Really good start by Daniel Suarez to kind of be able to match the takeoff of William Byron. Isn't going to get the lead, but a good start.
How many grooves will we see through the turns at this racetrack?
Well, we already see 2. The question is, will we see 3 or 4? This racetrack can widen up. Just don't know how this new tire.
Byron on the outside, Suarez on the inside. Green flag back in the air.
Shot by the 20 to the rear bumper of the 9.
That wasn't a little one.
No.
Still at the front of this field, and the team kind of joking with William during that last caution, saying, hey, you're getting a lot of opportunities to practice your restarts here. And this 9 car seems to continue to get better and better every time he fires off. He started off a little bit free, but said the car came to him, and now the team's just telling him, hey, take care of your stuff. Just do enough to stay ahead of that 18 behind you. This is the team definitely looking for a win here today.
And William Byron, a year ago, was a part of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series playoffs, where it looked as though he was going to win that championship. Didn't end up being able to close the deal. Now he's in a position where he looks like he is the leader, the playoff leader, and maybe the favorite going into Miami if he's able to advance all the way through the rounds. And right now he is being scored as the leader on the racetrack, and he is also leading in the points as he does that. Kelly.
Yeah, and Rick, and I actually talked to William about that experience in the Truck Championship last year. He said what he learned most was that you really can't just get caught up in the emotions of everything. He said last year he felt like he kind of had to drive harder than he already was because it was playoff time. Now he says, now I know it's not about driving any harder. It's about making sure all the little details are taken care of. I think that's what really separates the good playoff teams from the bad.
You know what else happened last year, Rick, I think, in those playoffs is it showed everyone the power of a win. Because William Byron arguably was the guy that should have went to Miami to race that championship by his consistency and his effort. But there are no guarantees in sports. And he didn't do anything wrong. That mechanical failure took him out of the engine, the expired engine. But if he could have had a win in that round, he would have been already moved through. So that's why, Jeff, the value of a win cannot be stated enough. Points are important, but wins are a guaranteed advancement.
Wins fixed everything, but also was a great reminder and even a motivator to create a system that rewarded points in the playoffs that you earned in the regular season. So now William Byron, because he had such a good regular season, if that happened to him this year, he has something to fall back on. You should get a benefit from having a good regular season.
Final lap of the stage, guys.
You just heard a report from a guy that loves running the outside. I saw Parker at Bristol running the outside way up.
William Byron has had great restarts. He's been able to stay out front and even hold off this hard charge by Ryan Blaney. He will win stage 1. And earn himself an all-important playoff point that will advance, if he's able to advance, into the second round. William Byron gets the win of stage 1. And so Byron starting off up front, able to hold on for the first 60 laps as he takes stage 1 here at the Monster Mile. So let's dial up the winner of stage 1, William Byron.
Hey, William, you got a moment to talk?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Well, that was, I would say that first stage went about as perfect as it could go. What kind of challenges were you having?
We were a little bit tight that last heat cycle, but overall, car's been good all weekend. So guys have done a great job at JRM, and we've started to kind of put our plan together for these last few races and execute it. So so far, it's going pretty well.
Well, I noticed a 22 car that came out of pit road in front of you. I noticed on the racetrack he was using a much higher groove. Is that something you're going to look at here in a few laps?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good for the first 10, 15, I think. So we'll definitely look at that and see what we got here.
All right, good luck, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
It's been another great day for junior motorsports. Justin Allgaier, William Byron running second and third.
William Byron won stage 1. You had to settle for a third place finish, but William, it seemed like when you were out front, no one could get to you, but then once you lost the positions, it was hard. What did you need there at the end of the race?
I don't know, just probably a couple restarts. I mean, we need a couple restarts on the outside, but overall, really good day for us. This is a solid day that we need, and the car had a lot of speed, so just kind of hard to pass. You know, with it being cold and one groove, it was kind of on the bottom, but I felt like if we could have gotten out front, we would have been really good. But overall, really strong day for everyone on this Exalta team, and we'll just move on to Charlotte.
Strong day indeed after the last few weeks that you guys have had. Does this feel like a good enough boost that you need as you propel through the playoffs?
I think so. I think, you know, obviously Justin's been really strong, and the 22 is always fast, but we're not really racing him for this playoff. So we're going to focus on just getting a little bit better, making our adjustments count a little bit more, and we'll definitely get there by Homestead.
All right, William Byron finished third, one spot behind Justin Allgaier, who's with Dave.